Lecture 27, Editing with VI or Vim. First, there's an online tutorial. The online tutorial is actually quite good. And I highly recommend that you follow this link and go and actually do the tutorial. VI is a modal editor. There's an insert mode, an edit mode, and actually a command line EX mode in it. So, Vim is the newer, more powerful version of it. Vim stands for VI Improved. The original VI editor, a little bit of history here, was written by Graham Joy as his master's research when he was at Stanford before he founded a little company called Sun Corporation that he eventually sold for several $billions. And anybody that has ever used Java, that's also another product of Sun Corporation, which is the Stanford University Network, is what Sun stands for. But yeah, he is the CEO of the company, and he actually implemented this original editor, which was to take advantage of being able to use a full screen to edit in an efficient fashion. So why Vim Part 1? First, it's super powerful. It can be found on nearly all computers. I've used it on everything I can think of, from IBM mainframes to Linux boxes to the thermostat on my wall to there really isn't a computer out there that I have not used at some point Vim on it. It's ported to everything. It's very available. Second thing is that people that use it make more money. One of the sites, Stack Overflow, actually did a survey and found that on average, Vim users make $14,000 or more. So if you can do something where you learn something and you start using it and it makes you make more money, that would be a good thing. Now, they have only asked the question, does it make more money? Not, if you learn Vim, will you make more money? So I can't say it's causative, but I think that there are reasons to believe that it is a cause for you making more money. Because when an employer finds out that you use it, they know you're going to be more productive, so they're willing to pay more for those people. And it will make you more productive. That's the third thing. It's easier to learn other editors, maybe with the exception of Emacs. Emacs is also a very powerful, very difficult to learn editor, but very useful. But the difference is that VI or Vim is designed specifically for you keeping your hands on the keyboard in a touch typing position. So very often you'll see that you don't have to use a mouse, and lots of systems where you don't have a mouse available at all and it's not GUI, you can still use this editor very effectively without any difficulty at all. Although there are graphical versions of it, GVim on a Mac is graphical, and it does have some additional capabilities using a mouse. I rarely touch a mouse when I'm editing a file. And I'm going to give you an example of that here in a second. But it is a completely unnecessary thing. Now, if you ever watch music, sometime watch somebody like Valentina Listia. She has some great music on YouTube. And she is a professional piano player, a concert pianist. And I have never seen one that hunts and pecks for the keys on the keyboard of the piano. They know where they are, and those keys are not even labeled with nice little labels to say what they are. And, as a professional programmer, that is how you should be. You should not be hunting and pecking, nor should you necessarily be moving your hand off to move the mouse and then have to reposition. Because every time you do this mouse move and reposition, it takes time away from what you're doing. So, although there are great uses for a mouse, editing text files, which is a lot of programming and debugging, is not, in my opinion, really one of them. So, yes, that is kind of the history and why you use this editor. Now, chances are you don't have this editor, or you don't have a good version of this editor installed on your system. If you're working on Mac or Linux, you have a implementation of VI. On Linux, it is Vim Tiny, which is just the VI set, and you'd really like to have a better version. If you're working on Windows, then you have some horrid thing available to you like Notepad. and Notepad is a not good editor. So Vim installation. I've walked through in the documentation here how to install it. There's a link here to a nice page that walks through in detail how to install it, but you're going to have to download and install it. If you want to use it on the University of Wyoming's computers, not now because you're working from home, but if you want to, you can search for a thing called Portable Vim. And Portable Vim will allow you to do something like install Vim on a thumb drive that you can plug into the computer and walk away with it. In fact, there are a whole slew of these things like Portable Git that allow you to do that. And that way you're not sticking it on the computer, you're just sticking it on a drive that you plug in, and you have to set the path once to be able to access it, but it is easy to do. On a Mac, the thing that I recommend is a package called Brew. Brew is a package manager, and I've put the commands in there: brew install Vim, brew link Vim, that will allow you to install it and link it. There are actually two versions. That is the from a terminal command line version for a Mac. If you want to use the GUI version, which I use all the time also, that is MacVim, and I put in the link there for downloading and installing MacVim. And it comes in a nice Mac package, so it's easy to install. The minimal version installed on Linux, okay, I put in this stuff for Ubuntu. You actually want to remove it and install the real version so that you can get nice things like syntax highlighting and all the extra commands and multiple buffers and lots of good stuff. Why you want the full version, not the Vim Tiny version. But you actually remove the Vim Tiny version, update, and install Vim. If you're working on something like Red Hat, just Google for Red Hat, and there are a set of yum commands for Red Hat that do the same sort of a thing. So this is how you install it and get it up and working. It is a command line utility by and large, although on a Mac you can double click on it and actually run it. I very rarely do that. You can, from the command line, bring up the graphical version of it, gvim, and that has the advantage of it starts in the directory that you're currently in with your terminal, which makes it more local to the set of files that you're currently editing. So some examples. I'm going to do 3 of them, but those are all in separate videos here. So 3 examples. Quick overview, a little bit of editing to turn some data into a JSON file. That's example 1. I'm going to do some editing of some big files. That's one of the nice things about Vim, is that you can actually use it for editing files that are larger than the memory of the computer, and it's still fast and very usable. And the third one is I'm going to switch to the other end of the spectrum and actually log into my router and edit a file to show you it works on teensy tiny hardware that doesn't even have much memory on it, and it still works and still works well. So on to some examples.